The hip hinge expressed through the squat is one of the most ancient and neurologically important patterns the human body knows. And long before it became an exercise, it was simply how humans interacted with the world. From a scientific perspective, the squat trains the gluteus maximus to activate at the precise moment the body must overcome gravity, coordinating with the nervous system rather than competing with it. As you descend, the brain measures joint angles, muscle tension, and balance through proprioceptive feedback, quietly calculating how much force will be required to rise again. This slow lowering phase is not passive. Muscle fibers lengthen under load, creating controlled tension that signals growth, resilience, and improved motor control. When the ascent begins, the glutes contract as primary drivers of hip extension, redistributing stress away from the knees and lower back. This is critical because many modern movement habits weaken this relationship, forcing smaller structures to absorb forces they were never designed to handle. The squat restores order. It reminds the body that power should come from the hips, where the largest and strongest muscles live, not from fragile joints meant for guidance rather than propulsion. Over time, this repeated pattern strengthens neural pathways, making glute activation faster and more automatic, even outside the gym. There's also a quiet metabolic intelligence in the squat. Large muscles demand energy, and when they're trained, they improve glucose uptake, insulin sensitivity, and circulation. This means the exercise is not only shaping muscle tissue, but influencing systemic health, affecting how the body manages fuel and fatigue. Each repetition becomes a conversation between muscle cells and hormones, between effort and recovery, teaching the body to adapt rather than resist. On a deeper level, the squat reflects a biological humility. The movement asks the body to lower itself under control, surrendering briefly to gravity before rising again and coordinating. This rhythm means connected tissue, muscles, and joints evolved to work together, sharing load rather than isolating stress. When performed with awareness, the squat encourages patience, breath control, and internal focus, allowing the mind to sense where tension hides and where strength is waiting to be reclaimed. As glute fibers thicken and neural timing improves, posture begins to change without conscious effort. Standing feels lighter, walking feels more stable, and the body no longer negotiates every movement as a threat. The squat quietly rebuilds trust between the brain and the lower body, reminding the nervous system that it is safe to generate force, safe to rise, safe to move with confidence and control through space. The hip thrust and glute bridge bring attention to a muscle that is often present but underutilized, existing more as potential than performance in modern bodies. From a scientific standpoint, this movement places the glutes in a mechanically advantaged position, allowing them to contract with maximal efficiency while minimizing assistance from surrounding muscles. When the pelvis lifts and the hips extend, the gluteus maximus shortens in a way that directly targets its primary function, sending a clear signal to the nervous system that this muscle is meant to lead rather than follow. This clarity of intention is rare in everyday movement, and that is precisely why the exercise is so effective. As the hips rise, muscle fibers generate tension that increases intramuscular pressure, temporarily reducing blood flow and creating a metabolic environment that stimulates growth and adaptation. This controlled stress teaches the muscle to tolerate load and time under tension, both of which are essential for rapid strength development. At the same time, the brain is learning to isolate sensation, distinguishing glute engagement from compensation patterns in the lower back or hamstrings. This refinement of motor control is often overlooked, yet it is foundational for long-term movement health. There is also a restorative quality to this movement that extends beyond muscle tissue. Lying on the ground or supported by a bench, the body is positioned in a way that reduces external threat, allowing the nervous system to relax even while exerting force. This balance between effort and safety encourages more complete muscle recruitment, as tension no longer needs to be guarded or rushed. The breath naturally slows, the spine stabilizes, and the pelvis begins to move as a unified structure rather than a collection of disconnected parts. Over repeated sessions, the glutes begin to reclaim their role as stabilizers of the pelvis. This has profound implications for posture and gait, as a stable pelvis allows the spine to stack more efficiently and the legs to move with less wasted energy. Biomechanically, this reduces shear forces on the lumbar spine and redistributes load across stronger tissues, decreasing the likelihood of chronic discomfort. Strength here is not aggressive. It is protective, quietly supporting every step and transition the body makes throughout the day. Perhaps the most reflective aspect of the hip thrust and glute bridge is how they teach patience. The movement rewards those who pause briefly at the top, feeling the contraction rather than rushing through it. In that pause, awareness sharpens, and the body recognizes what true engagement feels like. Over time, this sensation carries into other movements, making strength more intuitive and less forced. The glutes stop being muscles you try to activate and become muscles that respond naturally when the body asks for support and power. The lunge introduces the body to controlled imbalance, a condition that reflects real human movement far more accurately than perfect symmetry ever could. From a scientific perspective, stepping into a lunge challenges the glutes to stabilize the pelvis while simultaneously generating forward and upward force. One leg becomes the driver while the other becomes the anchor, and in that division of labor, the nervous system is forced to reveal asymmetries that often go unnoticed. This exposure is not a weakness. It is information, and the body adapts quickly when given clear, honest feedback. As the front foot accepts weight, the glute of that leg works eccentrically to control descent, absorbing force as muscle fibers lengthen under tension. This phase is critical for joint protection, as it prevents sudden loading of the knee and hip by distributing stress through larger muscle groups. When the body rises, the same glute contracts concentrically, converting stored elastic energy into purposeful movement. This transition between lengthening and shortening strengthens not just muscle tissue, but timing, coordination, and reflexive stability. The rear leg, though seemingly passive, plays a vital neurological role. It provides balance cues through the foot and ankle, feeding sensory information back to the brain. This constant stream of feedback sharpens proprioception, enhancing the body's ability to sense position and movement in space. Over time, this improves balance, reduces fall risk, and allows the glutes to engage automatically in unpredictable environments. Strength here becomes adaptable rather than rigid, capable of responding to change rather than resisting it. There's also a psychological dimension to the lunge that mirrors its physical demands. The act of stepping forward requires commitment, while the return to standing demands control. This rhythm reinforces confidence through repetition, teaching the body that it can enter unstable positions and emerge stronger. Biologically, this confidence is encoded in the nervous system as improved motor patterns, reducing unnecessary muscle tension and conserving energy. As pelvic stability improves, the ripple effects become noticeable in daily life. Walking becomes smoother, transitions feel safer, and the lower back no longer compensates for weak hip control. The glutes learn to protect the spine by maintaining alignment, especially during single-leg tasks such as climbing stairs or changing direction. This protective role is often invisible, yet is one of the most valuable outcomes of lunge training. Over time, the lunge reshapes how the body understands strength. Power is no longer something generated only in ideal conditions, but something that emerges even in asymmetry and uncertainty. The glutes become intelligent stabilizers, responding to uneven terrain, shifting loads, and real-world demands with quiet efficiency, allowing movement to feel grounded, intentional, and resilient through every step forward. The step-up appears simple, almost ordinary, yet its power lies in how closely it mirrors real human movement. From a scientific viewpoint, This exercise trains the glutes in a vertical force pattern that the body relies on daily, whether climbing stairs, stepping onto a curb, or rising on a higher ground. When one foot is placed on an elevated surface and the body drives upward, the glute of the working leg becomes the primary engine, extending the hip while stabilizing the pelvis. This clarity of role allows the nervous system to reinforce efficient movement patterns without confusion or excessive compensation. As the body lifts, the glute must generate force while maintaining alignment through the knee and hip. This requires precise neuromuscular coordination, especially in the frontal plane where lateral stability is challenged. Small stabilizing muscles around the hip assist, but the glute remains the central organizer, deciding how force is distributed. With repetition, this decision-making process becomes faster and more refined, reducing unnecessary movement and energy loss. The result is strength that feels smooth rather than forced, controlled rather than explosive. The step-up also encourages deliberate weight transfer, a skill that modern life often erodes through prolonged sitting and passive movement. Shifting full body weight onto one leg requires trust in that side of the body, and this trust is built through consistent exposure. Biologically, the brain updates its internal map of strength and balance, increasing confidence in the supporting limb. This improved mapping reduces hesitation during movement, which is often a hidden contributor to instability and strain. There is an important eccentric component as well, particularly during the controlled descent back to the floor. As the body lowers, the glute works to slow the movement, absorbing force and protecting the knee from excessive stress. This phase enhances tendon resilience and teaches the muscle to manage load over time rather than reacting abruptly. Such control is essential for joint longevity, as it spreads mechanical stress across tissues designed to handle it. On a broader level, the step-up reinforces the principle that strength should serve function. The movement does not isolate the body from gravity or direction, it embraces them. Each repetition feels purposeful, as if rehearsing a task the body already understands at a deep biological level. This familiarity allows progress to occur quickly, not because the movement is easy, but because it is honest. As glute strength improves through step-ups, posture subtly shifts. The pelvis remains level, the spine stacks more efficiently, and the body feels supported from below rather than pulled downward by fatigue. These changes often go unnoticed until movement becomes effortless, until climbing stairs no longer demands conscious effort. The step-up quietly restores a sense of capability, reminding the body that strength is most valuable when it integrates seamlessly into the movements of everyday life. The moment you stand up from chair, climb a stair, or steady yourself before a fall, a quiet powerhouse in your body responds without asking for attention. The glutes are not ornamental muscles. They're central to human movement, balance, and survival. When they're dormant, the body negotiates every motion with tension and compensation. When they are awake, movement feels natural, grounded, and calm. Building strong glutes quickly is not about urgency or force, but about reminding the body of patterns it already understands at a deep biological level. The hip hinge expressed through the squat is one of the oldest movement patterns the nervous system recognizes. Long before it became an exercise, it was simply how humans interacted with their environment. As the body lowers, the brain collects information from joints, muscles, and connective tissue, mapping balance and tension with remarkable precision. The glutes lengthen under control, storing elastic energy while teaching the nervous system how to manage gravity rather than resist it. This descent is active and intelligent, preparing the body for efficient force production. When the ascent begins, the glutes take responsibility for lifting the body upward, extending the hips, and redistributing load away from the knees and lower back. This restores a natural hierarchy of movement, allowing the strongest muscles to do the heaviest work. Repetition strengthens neural pathways, making glute activation faster and more instinctive, even outside deliberate exercise. Over time, posture changes subtly, standing feels lighter, and movement no longer feels like a negotiation between weak links. From a metabolic perspective, the squat activates large muscle groups that influence how the body manages energy. Improved glucose uptake, circulation, and hormonal signaling occur quietly in the background, making the movement as restorative internally as it is externally. There's also a humility to the squat, a willingness to lower oneself under control before rising again through coordinated strength, reinforcing patience, breath awareness, and trust in the body's design. The hip thrust and glute bridge then bring focus inward, isolating intention without distraction. In this position, the glutes are placed in their most mechanically efficient range, allowing powerful contraction with minimal assistance from surrounding muscles. As the hips rise, muscle fibers shorten fully, sending a clear signal to the nervous system that this muscle is meant to lead. The controlled tension created here stimulates rapid adaptation, improving both strength and endurance. Lying supported, the body feels safe, and this sense of safety allows deeper muscle recruitment. Breath slows, the spine stabilizes, and the pelvis begins to move as a single unit. Over time, the glutes reclaim their role as stabilizers of the pelvis, reducing stress on the lower back and improving walking mechanics. Strength becomes protective rather than aggressive, supporting the body quietly throughout the day. The pause at the top of each repetition sharpens awareness. In that stillness, the body learns what true engagement feels like. This sensation transfers into other movements, making strength intuitive rather than forced. The glutes stop being muscles you think about and become muscles that respond naturally when support is required. The lunge introduces controlled imbalance, reflecting the asymmetry of real life. Stepping forward challenges the glutes to stabilize the pelvis while producing force, revealing side-to-side differences that symmetrical movements conceal. As the body lowers, the front glute absorbs force eccentrically, protecting the knee and hip. As the body rises, that stored energy is released with intention and control. The rear leg contributes through balance feedback, sharpening proprioception and teaching the brain to adapt to changing conditions. This improves stability, reduces fall risk, and allows strength to remain responsive rather than rigid. The act of stepping forward and returning builds confidence encoded directly into the nervous system, reducing unnecessary tension and hesitation. As pelvic stability improves, walking becomes smoother, transitions feel safer, and the lower back no longer compensates for weak hip control. The glutes learn to protect alignment during single-leg tasks, quietly supporting movement in unpredictable environments. The step-up appears simple, yet mirrors daily life with striking accuracy. Driving upward through one leg trains the glutes in a vertical force pattern essential for stairs, hills, and elevation changes. The working glute becomes the primary engine while stabilizing the pelvis and knee. Neuromuscular coordination improves as the body learns to transfer weight efficiently without wasted effort. The controlled descent strengthens the glute's ability to absorb force, enhancing tendon resilience and joint longevity. Each repetition reinforces trust in one side of the body at a time, updating the brain's internal map of balance and strength. Movement becomes smoother, posture more efficient, and fatigue less intrusive. There is honesty in the step-up. It does not remove gravity or direction. It embraces them. Strength develops quickly not through complexity, but through alignment with how the body already moves. The deadlift then brings all these lessons together under load. As the hips hinge and the glutes lengthen, the nervous system organizes the body for coordinated effort. When a lift begins, the glutes initiate movement, extending the hips while the spine remains calm and neutral. Load is shared across strong tissues, protecting vulnerable structures. This movement teaches respect for weight, patience under tension, and control without fear. Tendons adapt, muscles synchronize, and the nervous system learns to regulate effort efficiently. The cognitive focus required refines posture and breath, reducing unnecessary strain. As glute strength increases, daily movements feel grounded and supported. The lower back rests, walking stabilizes, and lifting becomes confident rather than cautious. The deadlift teaches the body how to rise under responsibility, how to generate power without urgency, how to meet physical demands with cooperation rather than conflict, allowing strength to express itself as calm, resilient movement through space.